Ange, if I can start with the question I think every Spurs fan wants the answer to. Is James Maddison available for tomorrow night? And if so, just how much is he chomping at the bit? Because this is probably the most difficult injury layoff he's had.
You've polled them all, every Spurs supporter, and that's...
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, that's fair point.
A large majority would like to know,
that's a fair point. Team news, I'll just cover them all. From the last game, everyone's okay. Decky's, obviously, Kulusevski's recovered from his illness. The boys had 4 days off last week, which I think was good for them. And then post that, Matt has been training with us. He's had a full training week, so he's in a good place. And Ben and Dane Scarlett sort of just started back with the group as well. So we're getting the numbers back up. I think the ones who definitely still Gio, Manor, and Alejo, I think, are the three that are still sort of away from the group.
With everything that's been going on the last few months, the injuries and the suspensions, players away on international duty, it's been pretty relentless. The last 12 days are kind of the first chance you've had to come up for air. Just how beneficial have they been for you?
Yeah, I think they have been. I mean, it was kind of we kind of had a couple of different options how we sort of treated the kind of the little break we had, and I just felt, like I said, because fair to say there's been a fair bit going on and a fair bit of fair few challenges we've had to overcome. I just thought, given the guys sort of, not just the players, the staff, sort of 4 days away, and would benefit us more than sort of going away in a little mini camp. And I think it has been, looking at just not that there was anything bad going on before, but just the body language of the lads. They've come back refreshed. We've had a really good training week. Again, it helps when the numbers are up. Your trainings, it's just a little bit more intense. There's a little bit more quality there, which helps the whole group. So I think it has been beneficial. But obviously, we've got 3 games coming up that will test our preparations.
Just a final one from me. It's been a busy January already in terms of incomings and outgoings. It's a 2-part question. How confident are you that there is still more business to be done over the next week? And even if there isn't, with PSR suddenly looking like it's got some teeth these days, just how reassured are you going forward that Spurs are in a really strong position to kick on? Yeah,
look, in terms of the rest of the transfer window, I think I said last time, we obviously, I was really pleased that kind of the initial kind of objectives we had in our head, or as an aim, was obviously priority of a centre half and somebody in the forward positions. We would tick those pretty early, and it's been good not just because we did them early, but they're 2 guys who've also benefited from just having sort of 10 days in the building with us training and adjusting and all that. So they're both Timo and Rada are a really good place now to help us going forward. As to what happens for the rest of it, I mean, it's as I said last time, we're always alert and we're always doing work. If we can improve the team or improve the squad, then we'll look to do that. And if there's potentially any outgoings, again, we're kind of ready for that, depending on sort of what happens. But I think we're in a decent place where a lot of the sort of, I guess, anxiety going into it, knowing we really needed to just help the squad a little bit, particularly through this period. I think we're in a good place now.
Hi, Ange, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, bud.
James Maddison back. You've now got Van der Ven back and Romero back, and I know Sonny's away, but in general, this is the team which pretty much thrilled everybody for the first 2.5, 3 months of the season. Do you feel now that you're in a great place to attack the league title, because you said you were in the title race last time, and also the FA Cup?
Yeah, fair to say Sonny, Bissouma and Pape Sarr were pretty decent at the start of the year, and they're still not here. So it's, look, like I said before, it's great to have Matters back, and obviously Mickey and Romero, Christian are both back now. Had a couple of good training weeks. It just helps our training. It helps just our general kind of ability to prepare the boys well for the challenges ahead. So we've obviously gone through a really difficult period for quite a while now. We've still got key absentees, but through that period, I think, whilst the results weren't always there, I think our performances were still at a good level, and the players were really sort of embracing what we were trying to do, and we've set ourselves up now for hopefully a strong finish to both the league season and hopefully a good cup run.
This tie can be seen in two ways: either a tie from hell because you're playing the holders and one of the best teams in the world, or if you're going to win a tournament, you've got to beat the best at some stage. Which way do you see it?
Neither. It's a cup tie, mate, and I think if you go into any sort of cup tie thinking that you've got some sort of advantage, whether that's against a team that's in a different division to yours, or like I said, arguably the best team in the world, you shouldn't have a different attitude or outlook to it, because the beauty of cups is the upsets they produce, and they produce upsets because maybe you don't take the same attitude. So for me, it doesn't matter who we play. Every cup game is a game where there's only one result that will help you advance, and that's a win. And irrespective of your opponent, that's what you have to do.
And with that in mind, I think I know the answer, but I'll ask it anyway. You said there the only way you'll advance is to win. Any thoughts from you of slightly just parking your philosophy that's worked so well so far, just so you win this game and get through it? You're looking at me like I'm mad.
No. It's just that you pretty much answered your own question with your question. So, and look, that's fair enough. But I think at the same time, you also respect the fact that you're playing a very, very good opponent, and he, whoever when you've got an opponent of the calibre of Manchester City, whether you want to or not, your game has to adjust. It does. We know we're going to be at times under stress tomorrow. There'll be times when we get outpossessed. I mean, there's, irrespective of your strategy, that's going to happen. But from our perspective, we just continue on trying to build and progress and be the team we want to be. And I've always said that that your greatest test is when you play against the best, to see where you're at, and not so much in terms of the result, but in terms of how you tackle that. And I think we've tackled all these challenges we've had so far, with a home and away against the big teams, in a very positive way, and we want to continue that.
Yeah, just wondered on that, how exciting it is and how useful it is for you. You get to play, you've obviously played City already, but playing them at home just to see kind of where the team's at, and I guess how things have changed, where things have developed from 6 weeks ago, however long ago it was.
I mean, I think it's hard to sort of gauge it in those terms, because again, you every sort of game's got its own unique circumstances, and I think that game, I think we're playing with Emerson and Ben as our centre back, so there was a different challenge on the day, and again, I thought the lads handled it really, really well against, particularly away from home, and by I guess measuring where you're at, for me, it's more about how we embrace the challenge of playing against the best, and that I think is a bigger measure of the progress, because you could end up not being successful on a day or not getting a result, but it doesn't mean you haven't made progress. It'll be how we approach the game, how we take on a formidable opponent. How much of our game can flourish in that sort of environment, and they're the things you take away and say, well, if it did work, it didn't work. It gives you a good place to sort of continue the work you've done.
How much has the last couple of weeks been long enough for it to be like a mini pre-season, or is it just about kind of recharge?
No, a combination of both. Like I said, I think the players needed some time. A lot of the guys, have carried a fairly significant load leading into the break, because we had so many injuries. So there was a lot of guys who played a lot of football, and even the ones coming back from rehab, like they'd been in pretty long rehabs, and I just felt like, you go away for maybe, if we're in a different position to sort of, if we needed to, as a group, to get together and go on a mini camp just to sort of consolidate what we've done, I think I would have taken a different approach. But I just felt it would be good for guys just to get away from sort of where, this place and where we are, and then come back in refreshed. And because we've done that, we've had a really solid week of training. No harder than what we normally do, but a really good level. And like I said, having the extra numbers pushes it anyway, because even having Timo and Radu in the building, like I said, it raises the level of everything we do.
And with James coming back, obviously we saw Mickey go straight into the starting lineup. Obviously that was slightly because of other absentees as well. But is that just a case by case basis? Because obviously I'm sure James is desperate to get going. Do you how do you base that decision as to whether they're ready to go from the start?
It's just like every other week, I kind of make my decisions based on what I think will get us the best outcome, and you take all those things into sort of account. Whether they're coming back into the team straight away, or whether they need another week. How are we in those positions? How are we placed in terms of the health and fitness of the other guys? So, but I guess the positive for me is that he's available, and again that gives us kind of more options both with the starting lineup, but even with the ability to change a game, because if he starts, then somebody who's been playing regularly doesn't, but that means they can make an impact. I think probably one of the few teams haven't had a massive impact, with our substitutes during this period. Early in the season we were good because we had a stronger sort of bench, but and not so much. We've just been really limited in those attacking midfield positions, so it just gives us more options.
Hi, Ange. You didn't mention him earlier. It may just be that because he's back in the group. Ryan Sessegnon, is he all right now?
No, he's still kind of in rehab. We're hoping Sess will rejoin us next week if all goes well.
Is it just a reaction to coming back after so long out?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So we just got to be a bit more careful with him because he's obviously this is not sort of a shorter term thing or even something that's happened this year. It's something he's been carrying. So we're just guided by the medical team as to how much we can sort of push him at this stage.
Obviously, you've now had like you say, almost 2 weeks to kind of really see Dragusin and Werner in training after that first game. Have they taken to your ideas as quickly as you hoped they would?
Yeah, they've adapted well. I mean, it's all you can go by is sort of how they're training and how they're adapting to our training, and both of them have adapted, and I think they fit in with the lads really well. I think it's a good group they've walked into in terms of the environment, and it's allowed them to sort of settle quickly. I know that our club's working hard with them off the field to get them settled as well. So they've been great. Yeah, they've been fine.
Last one from me. Emerson Royal has been linked with some Saudi club as a potential move. Is he one of those players that's maybe doesn't start every single week, but he's become so important to you because his versatility? Would it be difficult to let someone like that go?
It hasn't even sort of. I mean, I'm not sure the instance you're talking about, but it hasn't really. No one's asked me about Emerson or whether he's. But he's been hugely important to us. Without Emerson and Ben during this period, we would have really struggled, and not just playing as a centre back, but also filling in at right back at times, left back at times. And he's a great guy to have in the group. He trains hard every day, and he's a quality player. He's in the Brazilian national team. So, Emerson is an important part of what we're doing.
Finish with George, please.
Hi, Ange. Just going back to James, is he ready to start, or do you kind of need to manage his fitness, do you feel like, over this 3-game week, I guess?
Like I said, as I said before, he's trained all week and he's fine, so he's available. So, ready to start, not ready to start. When someone's available, I assume they're ready to start. Whether you do or not, it just depends on sort of, like I said, what I see with everyone else tomorrow, and I usually make those decisions game day. So, like I said, the beauty of it is he's got through the week really well and ready to go.
And he was obviously really important during those first couple of months. How much have you learned about the squad with him being out in terms of people stepping up, I guess, to fill that creative void? Yeah,
look, I guess specifically, for him, the creative part of it, there aren't too many, not just in our squad, around the league that are like him, and we had to sort of cover that absence in different ways. We've had Deki Kulusevski playing through there. Gio stepped in there, got some goals for us. Our front three have really picked up, and we've got goals from set pieces. So, Pedro's become really creative in that midfield area. So, we've picked that up. But I guess the beauty of that is that when Maddison is back in there, that gives us you know, it's not just relying on him where maybe at the start of the year we're a little bit more reliant on him. We found out through this sort of period that, you know, we don't have to be, but, you know, having him in there certainly adds in that space for sure.
And just funny for me, Man City's kind of record at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is well documented. They've not scored yet. Footballers are known to be superstitious. Do you expect that to be on their mind, on Pep's mind at all?
Oh, no, I've got no idea what's on Pep's mind, mate. No idea. I very much doubt it. I don't think anyone in the game today sort of looks at those things too closely as a predictor of what's ahead. I mean, it's fair to say there's been a fair bit of change in our team and their team over that course of time, and every game's a bit different. I'll be surprised if there's no goals tomorrow. I think, you know, it'll be a great challenge. I think it should be a cracking game. I think both teams are kind of looking forward to, see how we match up.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there, please. We'll move on to the Embargoed side at 10:30 p.m.
Pedro there actually used to represent at City earlier in his career. He's become a key player for you this season. He seems to really enjoy playing under you. Can you just, I guess, talk a little bit about how his influence has grown this season in the team?
Yeah, look, I think, I guess for a lot of the guys that kind of have stayed on, obviously we've taken a different approach, not just to the way we play, the way we train, and Pedro's really taken to it. He did, you know, right from pre-season. You can tell by the way he plays. He's a guy who's got a lot of energy, and you know, he's really, he's really passionate about his football, and he trains that way, and he plays that way. You know, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think the way we train, you know, really suits him. He enjoys that, and I think that's helped him with his football, because he's kind of every day he's pushing himself for training, and the environment allows him to do that. And then, you know, in the games themselves, he's becoming more and more of an influence in those, you know, in areas maybe where I think he was always good in. I think you look at his, you know, even before he came to Tottenham, his attacking stuff as a defender, as a wing back, has always been, high quality. So that's still there. It's probably, you know, we're getting him into more central areas, which means he can have even a bigger influence rather than just wide areas. And he's worked really hard in the defensive game with Matty Wells, you know, and I think he's enjoyed that as well. Like I said, it's just his general attitude, I think, to football, and the way he wants to train. You know, the environment we've got at the moment really suits him, and I think he's thriving in it.
A lot of people sort of wrote him off, journalists as well, after last season. He was had only been here for a few months. When you threw him in against Man United in the back four, there was a lot of trepidation because of how he come before. But I guess, are we too quick to write those off?
No, I just think sometimes it's not about being too quick. I think sometimes judgments are made without sort of understanding that with a lot of stuff that people make assessments on, you can only make assessments on what you see. So, you know, if you're a journalist, when you see a performance, but I think it goes beyond that. Like I said, it depends on the environment, depends on what instructions players have, depends on, you know, how comfortable they feel in it. I mean, there's no doubt that Pedro's an outstanding player. I mean, he showed that before he came to Tottenham, but for a whole host of reasons, him and others struggled last year, not because of anyone purposefully doing it. It was just it was a tough environment for the club last year, and you've got to factor that into it. Now, at the same time, players also have to take that responsibility and hopefully learn from that and say, well, you know, irrespective of the environment, my level of performance should be here, you know. And I think Pedro's one that understood that. Like I said, from the first day of pre-season, I just got the sense he came back, not to point to prove, but to show that, you know what, my level of performance can be a lot better than what it was last year. And so it's incumbent on every sort of player to kind of learn that, you know, whatever the challenges you have in your environment, you know, it doesn't restrict you from performing, at levels that, you know, make you contribute, to the group. And I think Pedro's one of those. There's a few in this group that, maybe last year people made a different assessment. Well, okay, that was probably because, like I said, it was a really sort of unstable environment for a number of reasons. And then this year they're doing a lot better, but the players themselves are key to turning that around. They have to realise, okay, well, I've got to do this myself as well. I've got to show that last year wasn't who I am.
Just finally, news broke yesterday of Tottenham's former owner, Joe Lewis, pleading guilty to insider trading. Have you been assured that this will have no bearing on Tottenham today?
No, that's about 7 galaxies outside my universe, mate. On what and that's the truth. Like, if I felt it was something that would, but I think the club put out a statement, and I think if that statement doesn't satisfy you, then probably I'm not the person to ask the follow-up questions to, because it's just not part of my radar. It wasn't something that is going to concern me or what I'm trying to do. And again, they're the kind of things where you can use as a distraction, but it's just not part of sort of what my brief is here and what I need to do.
In the little break, what did you get up to?
Yeah, not much. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, not much. My family, as I said, were away, so they just got back. So just some quiet time at home. Still had work.
Can you give us an insight? What you like to do? Do you binge watch anything? Do you read?
No, work, mate. Work. There's still a lot to do. Like I kind of use those moments to kind of look a bit further down the road and see stuff that needs to do, because whilst the coalface of it is games to prepare for, games to win, results, there's some longer term stuff that I'm still keen to build within the football club. So you kind of start mapping out those things and seeing whether we can make an impact now with that, or a bit later, or when we are going to make an impact, because it all sort of helps you to get to where you want to. So I didn't feel like, it would be nice to get away, don't get me wrong, but even if I got away, I'd still be kind of thinking along those lines.
You're not going to give me anything outside football, just with a bit of time that you don't normally have?
I'm fairly mundane and one-dimensional when it comes to that. I'm a human being, mate. I watch things, and I love reading, and I'll listen to, as you know, podcasts, and listen to music, spend time with my family. It's not anything too exotic or exciting, but within that context, it's I still feel like, for me, I take what I do really, really seriously, and I don't, I feel like sometimes if I do switch off for too long, I'm kind of missing something. It's just the way I'm kind of wired. So, but if I'm ever sort of, my wife will straighten me up if I'm ever too engrossed in it and I need to step away from it, and she'll make sure that I have some time to switch off.
Is Maddison similar to you in that total immersion?
In nothing, in absolutely zero. Matters has got zero semblance his life to mine. Absolutely none. No.
Okay, I was going to ask you specifically about
Yeah.
how he's coped
Yeah,
with this on a psychological level,
Yeah.
the longest absence of his injury absence of his career.
Yeah.
It was such a positive guy.
Yeah.
So was he quite low?
Not low, but it was tough for him. Yeah, fair to say it was tough for him, because, like I said, he is, he does love his football. He loves the environment of football clubs. He loves the dressing room. He's kind of a force within that, and it's hard for all players when they've got to go through rehab. But especially a character like him, I'd suggest our sports science staff wouldn't enjoy the one-on-one with Matters. He's more of a guy who wants to be in the group. So, we did sort of send him away in the middle of it. We felt it was good for him to get away with his family. We sent a physio with him, and I think that helped sort of bridge that time. And when he got back from that, I think, he was refreshed. And once he could see the sort of finish line of, okay, I'm getting to the tail end of it, you could see, his spirits lift. And, it's been good to get him back.
We saw him hit the ground running, so impressively when he first signed. And I suppose we've seen De Bruyne come back for City, and He's never been away. What's your sort of sense about Maddison?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't want to sort of put those kind of expectations. But I know what Madders expects, you know, and looking at him at training, you wouldn't know that he's missed so much. He's, you know, the quality is there straight away. You know, everyone notices it, and he's looking good physically. So you know, I'm sure that he's the kind of guy who will want to make up for lost time and you know, come back in and make an impact straight away.
Ange, can I take you back to the old chestnut of trophies?
Yeah.
We know how important trophies are to you. You know how important trophies are to this club, and particularly their FA Cup tradition and history. Just what would it mean to, you know, go beyond tomorrow night to kind of get that cup feeling, to get that cup buzz, to keep this season really pumping? You know,
Yeah, look, I think, you know, obviously, yeah, it's very important, not because of any other reason, but what it would mean to our supporters. You know, they're the ones that, you know, we as in managers and players, we come and go. You know, even the great ones at some point finish, but the supporters are always there, and you know, they've had to sit through year after year of not winning a trophy, watching other clubs win trophies, so you know what it means. But I've said before that can't sort of charter my course of what I want to build here. I want to build a team that brings success and challenges for trophies every year, because whilst one trophy will satisfy that thirst, which I understand, if in the following year we struggle and fall back to mediocrity, it's going to quickly get forgotten. This is not what this club's about. And you know, my goal when I was brought in was to take this club to be a club that competes for honours every year, and that's what I'm focused on. Tomorrow night is part of that process, obviously, but I'm under no illusions of what bringing a trophy to this club means to supporters. I understand that, but my sort of objective within that is to give them that joy on a regular basis, not just as a one-off.
The fans love you, right? You can see that from the way they react in the stadium. But when you see them in the street, you know, and basically they come up to you, do you get that sense of understanding as well?
Yeah.
They always want, you know, a bit of sort of way to
Yeah, no, everyone's been, you know, very kind to me and you know, like really supportive, and they can see what I'm trying to do. But you know, they also don't leave me guessing about what the objective is. So that's fine. I mean, that's what you want. You know, you want passionate supporters, and like I said, it's right that our supporters feel that way, but I can't let that dictate what I do. I know what I need to do to take this football club to where it needs to be, and it's not going to come from, like I said, the joy of a one-off. I know that, you know, it'd probably be good for me if it happens. You know, it'd be great for me, but it's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in taking this club to a level where it has success on a regular basis.
You mentioned how you're looking forward to this game to measure also the progress you guys have made. You guys have made a lot of progress from the beginning of the season. Which is the one you're most proud of?
I think the way the players have really embraced who we want to be as a team, even with the challenges we've had, because you know we obviously again, it's not about the injuries, but it's about how we approached as a group, you know, tackling that challenge, and then how you tackle the challenge of losing 3-4 games in a row. You know, what's our attitude like? What's our body language like? What's our belief like? And through that, I've really loved that this group of players, and the staff to be fair, have just never wavered from saying, you know, and demanding of me that we continue like this. We don't change, because irrespective of what happens ahead, there's going to be more challenges. There'll be different challenges, but more challenges. And we've already gone through this period and shown that if we stick to what we believe in, we can come out stronger. Well, that's the thing, because I think in terms of the football and in terms of everything we do, there's still a long way to go, and we've got a lot of improvement. We've got a lot of young players who are just in the sort of beginnings of their careers. But that sort of attitude they've shown and commitment and belief, more importantly, in what we're trying to do has been the most pleasing thing for me.
You have built before in your career winning teams.
Yeah.
Experiences. How much do you think is going to be different here?
They're all different. They're all, unique. They're all different challenges. But like I said, through that, there's always some consistent things that I see that if you put in, it gives you a chance. It doesn't guarantee it, but it gives you a chance, and that's what I'm trying to instill here. And I think it doesn't matter where you are, and that's not just synonymous with where I've been, but you look at all the successful teams, there are certain characteristics within those, aside from quality, aside from anything else, that those teams have. And they seem simple from the outside, but once you're in, sometimes the most difficult things to achieve, to understand how important a team first ethos is, how important it is that you get people with different personalities, different characters, all to believe in one thing, how you change an environment, how do you change behaviour, and these are irrespective of the quality, but all across all sports, all champion teams have these things. So that's what you try and instill. But like I said, it's not always easy, and they're always different how you get to that end point. So this is different from what I had to do at Celtic or Yokohama or in Australia, but the principles of it are the same.
Okay, Gary.
You said to David that you sent Maddison away, but where did you send him? And what was that?
No, just to Dubai, mate. Nowhere sort of.
That's just a holiday or something, just to basically get...
No, I guess that was the point of what I was saying. It wasn't a holiday. It was like we sent do you go holidays with your physio? No. Or a sports... Yeah. No, it was pretty much just to replicate here. You're having a crack at each other now. That's good. I love this. It was just to get him away from this environment, but doing exactly what he'd do here, but in a different environment. And he went away with his family, so it kind of just helped him sort of do what he was supposed to be doing here in a different environment. We did that with Romero. Gio's doing the same thing, because again, for players to just come in on a sort of daily basis in here, watch the guys training and not be part of it, it's not easy, and if we can somehow accelerate that process by changing something around them, some of them don't, some of them like doing it here and they're good, but with Matters we just felt it would work that way.
You touched on it at the end of the first section there, but I think everyone's expecting a great game tomorrow, like one for the neutrals, two teams attacking, playing the right way. Just wondering kind of how much you personally are relishing that challenge.
Yeah, look, you can't script it. It's probably going to end up being 0-0 and fairly dull and boring. But I do. I love the 3-3 at their place. It was a cracking game. Aside from you take away yourself from it, and we were lucky to be in at half time. We should have been well out of it. They missed some unbelievable chances, but we hung in there, and then we got on top and. We might have even snuck a win at the end of it, but there were so many sort of storylines within the game. I love that, and that's what I love about football. That's what you kind of want. You obviously want to win because that makes you feel better about what's happened. But yeah, you're playing against, like I said, arguably the best side in the world, and we feel like we can have a crack at them, and we will, and see what the outcome is.
And Sonny's obviously away. You've spoken before about how he kind of transcends groups in the squad. I sort of wondered, do you feel his absence from the group when he's physically not around the place? Has that been something the last?
Yeah, look, there's definitely a void there, but again, with all these things, there's always opportunities, and that's where Romero's really stepped up the last sort of. You just feel it around the place, He knows that Sonny's not here, and he knows what Sonny does on a day. Sonny gets around every person in the building and says, "How you going?" And Christian's doing that now. I can see that, training. He's a lot more vocal than he was in the past. So that's the beauty of it, where there is a void because you're missing, one of your leader. For me, just sitting outside, then you're kind of waiting. Okay, is anyone going to step up here because we're going to need someone to, or do I have to interject myself into it to come? But, you know, like I said, you know, he stepped up, and there's been others within that. Vic in goals, you know, he stepped up, and, you know, there's a real sort of good feeling amongst the group at the moment about where they're at, that they understand that, like I said, because of what we've been through, okay, somebody's missing, man down, we just keep going, and somebody fills that void, and we keep going till they come back. And I think it's been good for the growth of this team. I think this year, for me, is about growth, you know, and you don't want to orchestrate these scenarios where we get challenged and we have players missing and everything, but the fact that we have gone through it, I just think it's accelerated our growth. If we had everything run smoothly, you'd be worrying, well, it's going to hit us at some stage, how we're going to react to it. So we could have flown through this first half of the year, and I'm sure all the questions to me would have been, well, you know, what happens when there's a hiccup, because a hiccup will come, and I wouldn't be able to answer that question. I'd bluff my way through it, but I wouldn't be able to really answer it. But I already know, you know, I've seen the resilience, and part of that is how we've dealt with those absences.
Is there sort of any part of you that thinks that big injury crisis was well timed then?
It depends on how we finish the season, mate. When you're going through it, no, you know, because, you know, we started the season so well, and you just wanted to keep going, and you see the growth. But like I said, there's always a challenge, and if it wasn't the injuries, it would have been something else. I guarantee you, something else would have been in our path to trip us up, and we would have tripped up, because we're still in the early stages of building a team. And it's when you trip up, what do? You know, do you get back up, or you kind of bemoan the fact that you've fallen down? So, you know, whatever those challenges are, and there'll be more ahead. You know, like I said, hopefully, knock on wood, we're over this injury crisis, but there'll be other challenges, trust me. And, you know, for me, the good thing is that we've handled the first one in a manner where I've seen the team grow, and that's got to be our objective with whatever comes ahead.
Can I just ask you one more about the challenge of facing someone like De Bruyne? How do you go about stopping someone like that?
No, look, he's an outstanding footballer. I mean, he's a brilliant footballer. You know, he's one of those guys you just love to watch. Apart from if you're playing against him, but you know, if you fall into the trap of thinking that's just the key to this Man City team, then that's where you trip up, because they've got quality all over the place where they can hurt you. And I've always felt, you know, fair to say, in my coaching journey, whenever I've been to the big tournaments, I've gone in as, you know, the underdog. But I've always felt that the only chance we've got is doing things collectively. If we start to individualise things, then we've got no chance, because, you know, and that's the beauty of football, you know. It's ultimately, it's not, you know, 1 against 1, it's 11 against 11. And if you can maintain that through the course of a game and minimise the influence of individuals as a collective, then you've got a better chance of success. But if we tried to stop Kevin and ignored Phil Foden or Ronaldo, or don't make me name him, mate, I'll go through the whole team, then, you know, I think we fall into a trap. Thanks, guys. Thank you.